Hi, everyone. This is the episode 3 of the interviews with Maria Randall Photography. Hi, I'm Maria. And today we have Aveen. Hi, Aveen.
Hi, Maria.
Hi. Would you mind introducing yourself to us, please?
Sure. My name is Aveen Banish, and I have a lot of different roles. I'm a mother to 4 kids, ranging in age from 11 to 20. And I'm an ophthalmologist and a wife. And I also teach a little bit of yoga and mindfulness to people of all ages.
That's perfect. Actually, I started to get into mindfulness just a little bit with everything that's happening in our lives. Would you have a couple of suggestions for our high school seniors or all of the high schoolers of what type of meditation or mindfulness you would recommend for them if they would be interested in that?
Sure. Well, I think sometimes the idea of meditation and mindfulness feels like a really big topic. And there's almost so much information on it that it can overwhelm us so that we do nothing. I know when I am overwhelmed, that's often what happens to me. Really, when we're talking about mindfulness and meditation, or when I'm talking to my own kids about it, it's as simple as getting off your phones and your screens. And instead of that multitasking where we're looking to do 10 different things at the same time, you're doing your homework, you're watching a video on your computer, you're scrolling through your phone, you're kind of just shutting down all those tabs and you're coming back to just your breath and yourself. So if you just do that, if you shut everything else down and sit in a chair with, set a timer for 5 minutes to just notice your breath, and to just notice what thoughts are populating your mind, that in and of itself is meditation. What's really great is that we're all carrying around kind of supercomputers most of the time now, and there are also some really amazing apps. I use Insight Timer, which is free and has a nice timer on there that will block out other, sounds on your phone, but it also has lots of guided meditations ranging in time from like 3 minutes to 20. My daughter uses Headspace, my daughter in college, and that I think there's a small fee to pay for it, but that's another great app. Sometimes for meditation, it's really helpful to sit in silence. Even for 5 minutes can seem like a long time when we're not used to it. But if you do a guided meditation, and there are thousands of guided meditations on Headspace or Insight, you can kind of find a teacher that their voice doesn't bother you. You know that you find yourself a little bit, breathing a little deeper even after 3 to 5 minutes, and you kind of find your way as to what you like the best.
That's perfect. Yes, absolutely. Yes, the suggestion of turning everything off and just to be present, it's brilliant because we are so used to multitasking. We all do it. Not only our children, but we do too. That's a great suggestion. Mm-hmm.
And we live in a culture, whether you're in high school or beyond, that kind of values multitasking. And a lot of studies with actually how our brains function show that that's not really the case. So just some time where, and I love that computer analogy where you're just shutting down all your open tabs, mm-hmm. and just kind of coming back to baseline, and even just asking yourself, like, what's going on? How am I feeling? It can be so simple, but if we check in with ourselves, we can sometimes notice, wow, I'm really upset, or I'm anxious, or I'm angry. And we can start to allow those feelings to move through, rather than sometimes we tend to like bury them and stuff them. And we don't even know why we're feeling terrible at the end of the day because we haven't really asked ourselves.
Yes, that's very true. Would you have a couple of suggestions of how to de-stress, of how our kids can do that besides turning off? Mm-hmm.
Sure. I always tell my kids we're not that different from houseplants in a lot of ways. Like, we need to hydrate, right? Especially if you live in Colorado. Yes. You need to drink your water. You need to move your body. You need to get outside. So much research is showing that, getting outside for an hour or 2 a day is as important for our stress level as just about anything else. So take a walk on the trails with your friends or by yourself or with your pet. And then I think sleep is super important and often an uphill battle. I think as teenagers, your set point is naturally later than probably, I know my kids' set point for when they want to go to bed versus when they want to get up is kind of very different from my natural set point. So I think as parents to recognize that, and that it's okay for sometimes for teens to stay up a little bit later, but you gotta get your sleep somewhere. So to prioritize sleep, to kind of get to know your own body. I think everyone's a little different, to get to know the minimum hours you need to function. And then usually you want to go over that a little bit.
Yes.
But prioritize your sleep.
Okay.
Is super important. Eating healthy,
Yeah.
all the things that we already know. I mean, Maria and I know this. We've been hearing it our whole lives, but sometimes the really simple advice, there's a reason that it's the best. And so moving your body, drinking water, getting sleep, eating healthy, laying off sugar, are kind of it's the baseline. And then we can, on top of that, look to see, okay, how connected do I feel? Do I feel like, again, I always ask my kids, how do you feel after you've been scrolling on your phone for an hour? If you've been, looking at TikTok or Instagram, asking yourself, do I feel better or worse? Like getting super curious about your experience when you're using phones and computers that are just so ubiquitous right now in our experience. Or do I feel lonely? And do I really miss kind of human face-to-face interactions with my friends? And can I bridge that gap and actually pick up the phone and use it as a phone and call a friend and talk to somebody, or suggest that they meet up, we meet up for a hike or somewhere outside. So again, it's just kind of checking in and noticing how our habits are serving us, I think, is another way, just a basic way to tune in to de-stress. Because a lot of times we're doing things without even really thinking about it. We're watching Netflix and allowing the next show to come on, and then kind of missing out on sleep. So it's sort of prioritizing what's going to make you feel the best, and then also keeping time and making time for friends and for fun. I think especially as teenagers, this past year in the pandemic has been really tough. And to recognize that, and to recognize that you may feel out of practice with socializing, you may feel like you don't even know how to talk to people anymore, and that you're not alone in that. I think a lot of adults feel that way too.
Yes.
And so it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be a little awkward sometimes. It's okay to reach out and open yourself up a little bit to connect with your friends. I think that's super important.
Yes, I agree. Any other suggestions that you would have? Any words of wisdom for the last few minutes of how to deal with the pandemic situation and the school situation and all of that?
Yeah. I mean, I think first of all, to just honor and recognize that it has been a hard year, and that no other generation or group of teens has been through what we've been through quite the same way as you. So I think if you're feeling off, if you're not feeling, if you feel like you're struggling with your mental health, I think first time to just take a deep breath and to know it's okay, and that you're not alone, because I think a lot of people are feeling off, even if we don't exactly know what that is. I would say second, I feel that my hope anyway is that we're through the worst of it. We're coming into the springtime where we're going to be able to be outside more. The vaccine is rolling out, schools are opening back up, so that to know that it's not going to stay like this forever. Because I think when we're young, especially if you haven't had an experience, like say for my freshman daughter, she's not had like a regular year of high school yet. So sometimes we feel like it's always going to be like this, or it's never going to, reach normal again. And I think change is part of life. And so I think just like the pandemic has changed over the year, I think we're moving into a time where we're going to feel a little bit more on track and a little bit more able to connect. And so to kind of lean in on the days that it's really hard, to kind of look to the horizon with some optimism, I think can be beneficial. And then, to lean into the support system that you have. You might be super sick of your parents at this point. I mean, I feel like I feel like one of the silver linings for the pandemic for me has been, family dinners more than we would ever have, because activities were canceled. And but to recognize that you do have support, whether it's your parents or friends that are in your circle, or if you have a pet at home, just that we're not alone, and that you're not alone, and that I think there are brighter days ahead.
Perfect. Oh my gosh, that was great. Thank you so much, Irene.